1.
My name is Jennifer O'Coin. I am the founder and co-owner of Steps Dance Studio in Toronto, and I'm also the founder and producer of the Canada Salsa and Bachata Congress. As a child, I was a gymnast. I did competitive gymnastics, I did ballet, flamenco, did Argentine tango, so I was always dancing. And then I went on vacation to Dominican Republic. I fell in love with the culture and the music, and somebody who worked at the hotel told me about El Rancho. Because I didn't believe at that time that people actually danced in Toronto. Salsa and bachata, I had never seen it. And so he told me about this nightclub, and I went with a friend and I walked in and I was just amazed. I just couldn't believe that people were dancing like that in Toronto. And so it just became a passion. It became kind of an obsession, I guess. I started dancing all the time. Initially, I was teaching for many years. Another teacher here in Toronto and 3 other dancers. We went to an event in Washington, D.C., and that was our first Salsa Congress. I think for the first time, I saw that it could be a career. When I went to that convention, I saw these really famous dancers like Eddie Torres and David Melendez and Nelson Flores, and they were doing this as a career that was part of their lives for decades. So it inspired me to actually take it more seriously. And so we started a dance company called Los Asomonos. That was our first one. We had a performance team and we had classes and workshops. And then over a few years, I did my own things, and that's when I started Steps Dance Studio.
2.
Some sessions, the students would bond and would get along, and then they would continue. And some sessions, they wouldn't bond. I started to see this community aspect and this social aspect of the classes. I felt like giving them an hour a week to come to class was not conducive to building community and wasn't conducive to them finding their community. We kind of trial and error, we changed completely the structure of the school within like a 6-month period. It worked. I think it was what was missing. So the membership means if they want to come every day, they can. And it also allowed them to meet so many more people because now they're coming all the time. They're also taking classes at their level and below, so they can practice all the time and they can build their confidence. It just helped to create the community that we wanted it to feel like a home. I think we have always tried to be inclusive. We started teaching role-neutral classes, and we switched to saying leaders and followers rather than men, women in class. We're open to all ages. You know, if a person calls me and they're a teenager, and we'll say, well, you know, you're welcome to take the adult classes if your parents are okay with it. Salsa and bachata are from a culture. It's part of the Latin culture is to dance with family, to dance with your friends, to dance in celebration. We don't want to discriminate on age for anybody. We think dance is for all ages. So you should be able to dance into your 90s. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to dance.
The Steps atmosphere is amazing too. It feels like I'm back in high school where, you know, people are dropping each other to other classes. We're asking each other, what's next? What's next? Are you here on Tuesday? Are you here on Wednesday? So it's fun. It's like a nice community that we all are part of, and it's nice. We run into each other even on like streets, especially when you meet people who dancing, you know you have one hobby in common. Like that's there. Like you're not a stranger anymore. At least you know you have one passion in common, and you can always talk about the same passion again and again.
3.
In Brazil, we are born dancing. Culture here is very different because in Brazil, we are very used to hug people and like touch, which here is like, oh, don't get too close. I remember when I was in the beginning, it was hard for the leads to touch the followers. Like I had a friend who was dancing with me and he was like just barely touching. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like you need to give me some frames, something. And it's like, oh, because I know like some followers don't like to be touched. I'm like, but this is a Latin dance. It doesn't make any sense. I understand like there are respect and rules and everything, but like you need to connect with your partner. So that was the main difference for me.
It's probably more socially acceptable over there in where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I guess from here, like you said, the rules are like different, or they just don't want to engage too quickly because it might be like a sign of disrespect to people.
When I compare to like how I grew up in a family where we didn't like hug each other every moment we got, or we kissed each other, or we were just like I love you throwing around all the times. But when I started like hanging out with people who were Latin and from the same culture, I realized they're so touchy, they're so feely, they're so verbal. I think that was new for me. Like I would like guys would touch me. I'm like, is he flirting with me? I was like, no, he's just being him. Like that's just his culture. He's not like trying to do anything weird. It was a cultural opening for me that like you can't. It's okay to touch people, and it's not like.
Wow, okay.
I have never been this person where I'm leaning on people.
Hey.
I'm not doing. I never do that. And I see Latin, or like Latin culture especially, is so like into touching each other and like knocking each other with. Why?
Okay, touch in a good way. Okay.
Yeah, in a very friendly way. This was something culturally different for me that I have experienced through Latin dancing.
I'm from Brazil. We hug a lot, like, and we give kisses on the cheek all the time. So for me, it was just when I started at Steps, it brought me back to that because I've been living in Toronto for 9 years. It's funny because when I go back to Brazil, because I've been living here for so long, my friends are like, "Oh, come here, give me kisses." I'm like, okay, I don't know, like I'm not part of that anymore. But then when I started dancing, everybody does that. I'm like, okay, it's okay to do that again.
For me, it's the other way. I'm very not used to body contact. This type of dance has opened me up to being human again, I guess. Because biologically speaking, it's a very natural and human thing to do, to have close contact with each other. We lost it somewhere along the way, so I guess I got back to my natural being.
It kind of makes you feel a little bit more welcoming, right? For newcomers, it might be a little shock to them at first, but once you get a little bit more comfortable, you start feel like you're there and it's like a family.
Chile, sometimes the people, when they like something, they are a little more passionate than the people in here. There are reasons also that I think that is different because Canada have a lot of immigrants, so they are only for themselves. They don't have another support, so they have to pay everything. They have to be worried about everything in their life. So it's different when you are at home because you have the support of your family. You can take that like an advantage to do more activities.
If I don't want to dance with somebody, how do I politely reject them? What would be a mature and a polite way to react to that?
I used to be the one that says yes, yes, yes to everybody until I say yes to the person that I never seen before, and he started dancing so close to the point that I almost had to stop the dance. I don't dance with him even that close. Like, it was very, very disrespectful. I told that person and I called him out, and I feel horrible for days though. But the good thing that probably he's never gonna ask me to dance ever again in my life. So then I don't have to be afraid when I'm in shadow position, because that's when that happened. I believe that if you're honest, then you also have to be like honest with your answer. I will go to a space that looks like a break space, so I don't get asked.
We are always trying to teach dance floor etiquette. Some people were taking advantage of the way it's danced, and so we decided that we had to start teaching it to try and explain the technique of it and what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. And we take things seriously. If somebody comes to us and tells us something that is happening in class, then we speak to that person. We've also asked people to leave our studio.
So this was back in Chile. I have a very, very shy follower joining my classes. She saw me and she was like, okay, maybe it's not a guy, so I'm not that afraid. She didn't join for the first 10 minutes, and then she joined after. After like, I think 2 months, she approached me and she was like, hey, I need to talk to you. And I was like, oh, did I do something wrong? She was like, no, I just want to thank you. And I was like, oh, yeah, for sure. I'm here every Tuesday to have fun and then to teach you. And she's like, no, you not only are my dance teacher, you are the person that got me out of depression. and I was shocked. And then she told me all of the things that I have done, but like things that were normal to me, like smile at somebody or say something nice or correct them, like something that I would do for like anybody. Oh my God, I almost cried that day because I don't know, I didn't know that I can have such a big impact in people.
I think anyone is capable of dancing. A lot of us get in our heads and think that we can't, and we judge ourselves. But if you see children, all children can dance because they're not blocking it. They're not afraid of it. Dance is one of the most beautiful forms of connecting with another person, connecting to a culture, connecting to music, connecting to what is inside of you that needs to be expressed. To be able to be in that headspace several hours a week, I think is one of the healthiest things you can do.
No puedes negar que cuando yo estoy cerca no te puedes resistir, pero tu pasado siempre te aleja de